Hello and welcome. I'm Ashwini Mishra, Editor Technology at ET Edge Insights, and I'm in conversation with Dipali Goenka, MD and CEO Welspun India. Welcome, Dipali, to this conversation.
Thank you so much.
We'll keep this conversation limited to supply chain. Again, supply chain has become one of the key topics for businesses across. What, according to you, are some of the key challenges enterprises are facing when it comes to the supply chain networks?
I think the supply chain is first of all, the bedrock of any businesses and manufacturing that we see. And the challenges that they're seeing is in the terms of infrastructure. The key thing and the matrices of supply chain are the turnaround times.
Right.
So the whole network now, like a journey towards the 5 trillion GDP that we're talking about as a country, supply chain is going to be a key player in that and the key bedrock for the country's growth. So if I look at it, the infrastructure is going to be very, very important. The whole warehousing is going to be very, very important. And very, very critically is going to be the MSMEs.
Right.
And that is going to be a very important aspect to see how are we looking at that network also play up. One thing I must say, that we have a network of startups and who are working on the predictive analytics and blockchain. So I think tapping on that will be very, very critical because post-COVID, world hasn't been the same.
Absolutely.
So it's become very dynamic. It is not a steady state way of looking at things. So I think the predictive analytics to look at what is going to be selling at the point of sale and how you react to it in a kind of a fastest turnaround time is going to be very, very key.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing. And the other important thing I must tell you is the blockchain. So while we are talking about it and it's at a very nascent stage, but blockchain will play a very key role in the entire supply chain as we go forward as well.
Right. So you touched upon the turnaround time, you touched upon the role of startups supporting the supply chain ecosystem and the role of blockchain. Have you been doing or focusing on these areas internally?
Sure. And I think for us at Welspun, we are not just manufacturers now.
Right.
We're serving 50 countries across the world. We also have a brands in India, Spaces and Welspun. We have a brand called Christie in United Kingdoms,
Right.
and we also have a licensed brands in United States of America, like Martha Stewart and Scott Living. So for us, it's a very complex ecosystem. And the COVID taught us that you have to be in control of your point of sales for the retailers, because for some retailers we do the vendor managed inventories from our warehouses in the United States of America as well. So for us to know what is selling and what will be selling after 3 weeks is very, very critical,
Right.
so that we can connect to the trigger at a manufacturing end. And for that we need to have a strong MSMEs.
Right.
So for us, we have our ancillary park just 2 kilometers away from our factory. So our turnaround gets faster there as well. Now, when you talk about blockchain, we saw that in China, because of the Xinjiang cotton, the whole blockchain and the supply chain become a very, very, very big issue.
Right.
For us to see how we can connect from the ginning to our factories, and the whole traceability mechanism is very, very important. So hence, I think it's not just about cotton, it's also about the entire ecosystem, which can be also blockchained. So Walmart, for us, I think the key thing is to see the entire ecosystem of supply chain. It's the inwards that comes in and the outwards. The last thing I just want to sum it up for Welspun is that our bedrock is ESG. And whatever we do, we have to look at, and as India as a country and as the world, we've been challenged with the kind of global warming and the onslaught of what we've done as human beings to this planet. I think the key thing that we need to also look at, one is the scope 1, scope 2, the other is the scope 3 emissions.
Right.
And hence when I speak about the MSMEs, I speak about the whole network that we're talking about. All needs to be mapped in. So I think the electronic vehicles, as they enter the factory, how they exit out, I think all needs to be a very, very critical part of looking at the carbon footprints as well.
Absolutely. Right. Dipali, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure having this conversation with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.